Hi, it's Tom here from FDS, and it's quite windy in my place today, so do pardon any wind noise you can hear in the background. And today we are going to be looking at this guy. This is the Mark II version of my Kardashnikov modification, and as you can see, it's a flat top. We're going to take a pause for a minute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through an album of close-up photographs, and I'll explain each of the features in detail a little bit more there.
Here we can see the smooth side profile painted in Tacticool Tan and gunmetal, as per the customer's request, and this is the fully evolved shape of this blaster. All future versions will use a variation of this top plate design. My next challenge is to draw it in CAD so that a production set of top plates and bottom plates can be cut using either laser or waterjet cutting. These will most likely be produced in ABS. Here we see the fully evolved version of my dentistry rapid strike mod, where I fill in the shark's tooth shaped cutout in the standard shell. This version of this mod, as you can see, features a 100mm length of Picatinny rail, in this case a set designed for the front end of a G36, and these are bolted through the shell using nylock nuts and some washers, and you can see they tidy up the front profile very nicely and offer a rail in a position which is actually useful, unlike the stock one. I'm extremely proud of how the clean lines have been maintained on this blaster, especially along the join between the bottom plates and the shell itself, and you can see that on this photograph. And you can also see the receiver style jam door opening, and this is cut into the top and bottom plates to allow access. Here we can see the weathering features with chips and some dark dirtying done with Tamiya powders over a tan base. This is the latest evolution of my design for the voltmeters, and you can see this is a voltmeter recessed into the top plate, and it actually has a second aperture underneath it to accommodate the electronics, which goes through the bottom plates and allows you to have a fully unpluggable voltmeter for servicing, or if you just want to change the colour. Also visible is the Mike's style sling mount, and this is a full QR sling mount, and you can just release it by pushing it in and then just leaving the little knob behind on top there, and this is to replace the stock sling mount, which obviously is removed when you take away the handle. Here's a close-up of the front part of the top plate, and you can see clearly the M4 machine screws, and those are fully countersunk into the top plate, and they screw into threaded inserts that are screwed and bonded into the bottom plates, and this allows easy disassembly and no wear on the plastic components.
So as you can see, there's quite a lot going on with this blaster. There's a few new features there that weren't present on the other one. Now, I don't have the chrono with me this week. It's off on its travels, being used by Prettier for Super Gripper to bring you some new information on motors and flywheel combinations that he's been working with. So I won't be able to put this over the chrono, but performance should be pretty consistent with the last Kardashnikov. There's no changes to the flywheel set on this, and it is still running on a 2S LiPo. So performance should be pretty consistent with the last Kardashnikov. It's still running a 2S LiPo, and it's got the same motor combination and the same flywheel set. You can see it still has my usual motor covers and stuff on it. I'm going to run it, it's just straight shooting. You can see it working. I'll do a couple of singles, I'll do some bursts, and I'll do some full auto. That's why I've given myself the drum to play with today, so you can see a bit of mag dumping and you can hear it in action. As you can see, single shot with 180s, eminently controllable. You can do it as much as you want. Now, burst. People go, oh my god, burst fire. Well, there's your burst fire controller there, children. Learn to use it well. 3. 3 again. Now, I just did that 3 times in a row, look, with my little burst fire module, no problems. Now we're going to mag dump the remaining contents of the mag. There's not very many in there, about 8 I think. Now on Elites, that is shooting high 120s. There is no reason why, with a little bit of extra work, this couldn't shoot easily 130. I've had 135 out of a flywheel blaster. I've had a couple of over 130 shots with the right motor and fly combinations, and that is not using worker flywheels. I think if I put worker flywheels built to the same level as my current stuff into these, I would get a 128 to 130 average, not peak. So at the moment, in a 30 dart shoot, I can expect 4 or 5 shots to easily be mid 120s. Now when I've got XP 180s in here, I'm easily getting high 130s out of them. So the flywheel ceiling is moving all the time. There's this kind of preconception that there's, oh my god, you can't shoot over 120. That's not true. You can't shoot over 120 with shit flywheels, shit wires and shit motors. You can shoot over 120 if you take the time to build, craft and set up your flywheel set like you would a proper mechanical component. So there is no shortcuts to that high power. You can't just slap all the parts in there and hope it's going to go. You've seen the amount of work that goes into building these, and you can appreciate that the time involved in setting that up, that is 4 or 5 hours work on the flywheels alone, in terms of getting the motors set up, the flywheel set up, the motors absolutely true in the cage, every flywheel weighed, every flywheel measured, and then matching them into pairs. This is why this stuff takes time to make. So there you have it, no shortcuts to consistency and firepower, and this thing is shooting hard. I can tell that right away from the noise it's making compared to some of my other builds. So I'm really pleased with how this has turned out. I can let you in on a little secret. I have a Boom Nitron build coming up. I'm going to call this Boom Nitron 3.0 because it's got some new tricks in it, being an FDS build. I don't want to be like the other guy. So I've got to give some props to Bobololo for that Boom Nitron 2.0 video, and also to Josh from Prettier, because I had a lot of fun trying to face down his Boom Nitron with one of my flywheel builds at Jambo. So thanks to him for disking me to pieces. You can see the FDS take on the Boom Nitron this year. I've also got a Stampede in build, and the Stampede is going to take some of the styling cues that are visible on here, and we're going to apply some of the Rapid Strike bodywork cut and shut to the venerable Stampede.